I have two very amazing parents who at that time had met and fell in love. And my father's from the south of Oman, while my mother's from the north of Oman. Both of them were well traveled by then, and it took them 7 years to get married. So from the beginning, I think I was raised in an environment where being encouraged to accept others, to experience the world, to see beauty in others was nurtured in me. My formative years were spent in many countries as my father was a diplomat, so I got to live in environments that were always different than my own. And yet it was important to my parents to make us remember who we are and where we come from. So we'd spent a lot of time back home in traditional clothes, learning our food, connecting with people. So that was one step. The next step was high school, where I moved out of a private school in Thani Thanawi, which is just 1 year before graduating, to a public school. For me, that's important because that was my first experience moving from my sheltered environment to seeing a lot of different peoples. From a classroom of 12 people to a classroom of about 40 people, from different environments, different backgrounds. So that was step 2. And then I made the decision in college, because my mom cried, not to go and study abroad, but to stay in Sultan Qابوس University in Oman, where I spent 4 years with very good education, but also again surrounded by, because of my background and always being away in my own country with my own people for so long. So that was an important time for me, because I realized that, you know what, some of them are even smarter than I am, and maybe deeper than I am, and more real. So it made me feel more attached to Oman. So that's when I learned to love my country. Oman is a mosaic, Hadar, Bedu, Janub, Shamal. That's the beauty of my country, and I learned to love it. And then also you learn to love the world, because that's what the world is. And I say that's what I see special about myself. It's how much I love life and how much I love experiences, which is more important to me than what made me who I am today. Because you don't tag yourself by your position or accomplishments that are material, but by really how much life you've got in you. We all have 60, 70, 80 years in this world, and that's what matters, is how much you get out of it while you're here. I started working 2001 in the National Oil Company in Oman, a very good company. I love it. As a result of working there, I got the opportunity to be exposed to different areas of negotiations and procurement and purchasing, which is my area. So in that 10 years I spent there, I actually got an exposure in all the fields, from strategy all the way to closing out and everything in between. But not only that, I got the opportunity to work in countries like the UAE on and off, and also full-time in Holland and Australia. I said I was well-traveled growing up, but that was a sheltered travel. But try going somewhere to work and live and survive. And that is the real experience, to live with people and be a part of them. And again, that was another step that showed me that it's a beautiful world, and it's a place where you can learn and you can give always. So I made the difficult decision in 2011 to leave a company that I loved, that I was safe in, that I was known in, and move to another company that was new at that time. But it's because I realized that I've given as much as I could, I've taken as much as I could, and I didn't know really at that time, was I really that good? Or was it because people knew me? I think that's one thing I realize in myself as I step. Even today I was thinking about it. I always question, am I really that good? Or is it because people loved me or liked me or knew my dad or, stuff like that? So I made that tough decision because I thought, first of all, I want to know my country. I knew that because it's an oil company, it's within a concession area. I knew that map. I understood, the hard oil, the soft oil. I understood everything there. But my country, outside, the real Oman, مسيرة, Saham, I had no clue. If you asked me at that time, where is Saham? I would not place it on a map. So I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of creating the company that I loved outside of that and build my country. So I decided to move at exactly the same pay. I remember at the time there were some benefits that I had to let go of, and also leave my comfort zone where everybody knew me and everyone, you could get things done. And I joined, I remember, in 2011 as an assistant contracts engineer, and today I'm a director over there, and I'm a member of a few boards of the company that it owns. So again, I question myself, but then, you know what, I am that good. I am, because I did it on my own. And maybe there were lots of excellent people around me who would support me, who would help me, who would advise me. But it cannot be that throughout my life at school, at work, in 3 continents, and in a new company, that I continue to do well. Stepping out of my comfort zone. And I think everyone should do that. You should always step out of your comfort zone. You should always, test yourself. What keeps me going is my love for life. I said I love to experiment life. I love new experiences. And I love to give. I'm a giver. I take a lot too, but I'm also a giver. So I think that's what keeps me going. It's that satisfaction of always being on the move, of being able to accomplish something and feel rewarded. And the reward is not material. The reward is the feeling of satisfaction you have inside. That's what keeps me going. I think the toughest thing is inside of you. You need to then find yourself. And what I try to do is go away from everyone and all the influences and all the noise around me and try to connect. And I tend to be drained when I'm not busy and when I'm not productive, ironically. So if I'm not, like a day at work where there's not much work and I, leave, that's the time I'm drained and I'm physically tired. It's either that or where there's a project that there's so much going on. So between these two extremes, if I'm not doing much, I find something to do. I'm one of those people that at home I'm always fixing stuff, changing the furniture, trying to find something to do. I've tried diving, paragliding, bungee jumping, extreme bungee jumping. I've climbed Kilimanjaro. So you try to do something and find your satisfaction. The funny thing is the satisfaction is not in the publicity. It's not in other people telling you, good job. The satisfaction is your heart feeling calm and sound and happy, and you looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you know what, you've done a good job. You're a good person. The reason the mountain came up is it was just out of loving life. So I was talking to my friend Najla Al on WhatsApp, and we're like, so what are we going to do this year? Because we've done a few things before together. And we thought, let's do something extreme. Let's do something that not everyone does, and let's climb somewhere. And you Google it, and the first thing that pops up is Kilimanjaro. It's like, okay, let's climb that thing, And then I wasn't fit. I'm not really that active. I'm still trying to teach myself to be more fit. But that was a time where I joined Amman Mountain Club Society. It's a volunteer society here that just goes around and climbs mountains out of passion. And the mountain was amazing. I keep telling everyone, when I came back from Africa, it took me a month of convincing myself that I did not want to move back to Africa. What you find is it's not being on the peak that makes it rewarding. Everyone talks about the physical activity, but no one talks about how you're at nature and you're doing something that not many people do, not many people decide to do. Human beings are capable, but they just, you don't know until you're there. So we go there, and it was hard. It was very hard. I lost 2 toenails, and every day was a very long battle. I was not the fastest. There were people who were faster, and I made it. And what you realize is when you made it at the top, I didn't think of how big I was or how amazing I was because I made it. You thought, my God, I'm so small right here, and it's so huge, and the world is amazing. And you realize that it's about you. And when I came back, it was all the quiet time you have on the mountain, not being connected to the internet. And so it wasn't the physical pain. It wasn't, anything. It was just being with yourself and realizing that pushing yourself and connecting with yourself. So that was one of my most memorable experiences in life, actually. Find out what you love. Make sure it's a good thing and productive thing that can actually give satisfaction to others as well, the environment, people, the world, and do it. And don't question yourself. And the worst that can happen is it's the wrong thing. So you just pick yourself up and find something else that you love, that you can help in, and do it. I think we're lucky in this region. We tend to forget, but if you look at all our grandmothers, if you think about it, we were always amazing women and men in this region. They were always strong. They were always, my grandmother from Salala's Jabaliya, from the mountains, very strong woman. She's probably, her and my maternal grandmother are the most people who have a lot of impact on my life. Very strong. They've known what they wanted all along. And then we come and say, women are oppressed and women. No, it's not true. I think it's been a recent, 20, 30 years of a shift in society. But inside of us, genetically, environmentally, we're strong women. And I see it only getting better. Like you said, a lot of women have, like climbing Kilimanjaro, you'd think, there's this one Arab. But no, there were like hundreds of Arabic women and GCC women who've done it before me and after me. In my group alone, there were 4 other GCC women in that group. So how do I see the future? I see it just better and better and better. نحن قادرات. Together we can definitely do it.